It Happened on the Job, the podcast for relatable conversations with contractors. Sponsored by Goodman Insurance.
Welcome to It Happened on the Job, episode 118 today. My name is Mike. That's Brian.
Yo.
Our guest today is Jeff Colton, president of Jensen Landscape, part of the Monarch Landscape group. How you doing today, Jeff? Appreciate you coming on.
I'm doing great. Glad to be here. Thank you.
No, thank you. We appreciate you taking the time
Jeff.
here with us today. So Jeff is actually connected to one of our previous guests, which is how we got a hold of him. So he's got a little bit of the inside info on how this is going to operate for today. But question one, we always get started with, we want to know your story. How did you get started in this industry, and what led you to where you are today?
So kind of, you could say I was born into it.
Okay.
My grandfather and uncle founded a company back in 1949 called Valley Crest Landscape, and small little landscape company in the San Fernando Valley. Started off as a nursery and grew into the post-war boom of the growing of the San Fernando Valley in Los Angeles. All the track housing, all the freeways and nursery. My uncle went door to door selling front yard landscape. And in 1960, I think it was, when my dad married my uncle's younger sister, said, Stan, why don't you come join us? We got the small little family company. And my dad was there for 47 years. And,
Wow.
My other uncle was one of the senior executives, ran the nursery division with his brother and my dad, and my cousin eventually was the CEO of the company, and was there for a little over 32 years, and mainly in Southern California. And then in 1994, I got asked to come up to Northern California for a 6-month look-see while they were looking for another manager. But my uncle and cousin said, well, we think we can trust you to kind of keep a lookout while we're looking for someone smarter, older, more mature, better looking. And so in 94, I came up to Northern California for 6 months while they searched out a replacement. I've been in Northern California ever since. And,
couldn't find anybody to top you, huh?
Couldn't find anyone. I guess I'm that good looking. But about 4.5 years ago, Valley Crest was sold in the mid 2000s. Michael Dell's private equity group, MSD, bought it.
Wow.
And so bought the majority interest, let the company run as it did. And I think it was 2014, MSD sold the majority interest to KK&R and merged with another company. And in 2016, another member had previously left and started Monarch Landscape. And I was struggling with the transition and was going to take some time off. And when I did, number of people, it was nice to know that I was wanted in the industry, and got a number of calls. And Brian Helga, our CEO, was one of them, who said, hey, I just bought Jensen. Why don't you come on board and help build out Jensen Landscape, who was one of the competitors of Valley Crest, and been there for the last 4.5 years and having a great time building up business.
That's cool. So, I mean, at Valley Crest, were you guys doing a lot of the construction that you guys do at Jensen as well, or is it?
Yeah.
What was the scope of work there?
Yeah, all landscape related, heavy commercial. Did a lot of builder developer work. Valley Crest and Jensen were the two, probably the primary name landscape contractors in greater Northern California. And we're still doing the same thing. We're building all the big tech campuses, doing a lot of nice work in downtown San Francisco. Been doing it since '94 with projects such as Pac Bell, a lot of high-end residences on the peninsula. So it's been exciting. It's fun to build something that you could years later go back and look at and go, I built that.
Yeah.
Not personally, but
Right.
my wife always tells me, you didn't build it. You had people who work with you that built it, did the building. You're Jewish.
You're just the pretty face, right?
Yeah. You don't own tools.
So what's your role now with Jensen? What are you primarily involved in?
So I'm the president of the construction division. So
Okay.
Monarch is a full service landscape company that specializes in maintenance, tree care service, landscape installation, construction, and for, again, general contractors, builder developers, HOAs, you name it, we do it.
And are you mainly involved in the installation portion, or do you guys have a maintenance division as well that maintains them afterwards?
I run, like I said, I run the construction division.
Right.
Brian is the president and CEO of the company, oversees the maintenance division, and
Okay.
within the various regions, there's regional vice presidents that oversee the various markets. We're in Seattle, we're in Denver, we're in Dallas, we're throughout the state of California. So primarily West Coast, but with aspirations to continue to grow.
Wow. Yeah, Dallas is probably pretty big for you guys, right?
One of the smaller markets, the greater Northwest is a very large market that we're getting into in the construction sector now. We've had clients from the Bay Area who, building up there, and we've always had our maintenance company up there. The customers have asked us, when are you going to get a construction operations going? So we could cover full circle, the construct it, build it, maintain it.
Yeah.
Enhance it.
So when you made that transition over to Jensen, how many of those relationships were you able to carry over and kind of help generate new business?
Again, a lot of the customers were like customers that over the years, Jensen and Valley Crest would do work with. So when I went over, Jensen was already doing work with a lot of the same customers that I was accustomed to doing work with at Valley Crest. And in today's world of social media, of course, there were some news releases, and when I updated my LinkedIn, it was nice to see, a lot of congratulatory comments. So relationships are really important. Relationships matter in our industry, and really pleased to say that I believe I got a lot of strong ties and bonds in the relationship sector of it, and it's helped Jensen grow to a different plateau that I think they were previously to Monarch acquiring and creating the capacity to grow, and myself, as well as all the Jensen team members that want to grow. Growth is good. We've grown organically down in San Diego. We started up from nothing. We're in our third year, and we've gone from 0 to close to $10 million in revenue down there.
Wow.
And we've done some spot work in Dallas with our maintenance company, who've asked us to come in, and they get a customer or two that says, hey, we got a project that their relationship with our maintenance company is solid. And, so it created the ability to open the door to have us come in and stretch our wings a little bit.
Yeah. I have to imagine being in the industry as long as you're not out there being a jerk and burning bridges, right? Like, you've probably know anybody and everybody, all the players, especially kind of where you're located now geographically.
Not all of them. There's a lot. There's a lot of people out there. One of the things that amazed me back in the day, growing up, and all I knew from being a kid was my dad, my uncles, my family, did landscape and went to college. And when I came out of college, was interviewing, and a gentleman that was running the San Bernardino office went to my dad and said, hey, I'd love to have Jeff come work for me, and worked in the estimating worked when I was going to school, summer jobs in the accounting department, did some estimating. And so I ended up taking a job at the company, something I never wanted to do because I didn't want to, the nepotism, you're always going to be looked at. And, that's so-and-so's, son or nephew. And the labeling of nepotism, it's tough. You got to work twice as hard to overcome it in some instances. And I really wanted to earn my own stripes. And so when I started and I was out in San Bernardino, my father, who was the president of the non-union side of the operation, actually his signature was on the, everyone's payroll check. And I just went there with my name's Jeff. I didn't want anyone to know what my last name was. You go, oh, it's, we got a spy here. It's, the president's. So it was really important that I earned my own stripes and was recognized on my talents and my abilities. And I carried that on throughout my career. But you do it, there was that fear of failing, right? You don't want to fail. You don't want to let your father down. You don't want to let your uncle down, your cousin down. And so I was really driven to succeed and, do the best I can, at least put my best foot forward. And it's been a great career so far.
So are there still pieces of your family involved in what you're doing now? Or are you the last surviving, metaphorically, the last surviving member in that company?
Well, so the old company merged and they changed their name. They, the company on the East Coast and Valley Crest, when they merged right away, they took 70, years and 65 years of name recognition, and the CEO decided to change the name, which kind of caught everybody by surprise. A little bit. And my cousin parted ways with the company, and he just started his own company. So there's no family members left at the old company. But my cousin did start up after his non-compete ran out. So it's in his veins, it's in his blood.
Yeah,
so
right.
Start a company.
And you didn't bring anybody over there with you at Jensen?
Yeah. There's been some people that have followed. It was important to me. I had a lot of friends, a lot of family. Northern California, I was there for 20 plus years and built a lot of personal relationships as the senior vice president, as well as business relationships. And there's a fine line there, and care about people tremendously. But I also wanted to, and also, it's even though I never signed any of the papers, was threatened, you can't steal people. We're going to come after you. So, and I didn't want to. I wanted to. I actually watched. We watched when the two companies, Valley Crest and the other company, merged. Watched the CEO bring in a lot of his counterparts, and it's not like professional sports. It's not like when you are hired as a coach and you bring your assistant coaches with you. That's kind of like the norm, right? John Gruden gets hired as the coach of the Raiders, comes back after his 10-year absence and brings in all his old cronies.
Yeah.
It didn't work well at the other company. And I really wanted to see, could I win the Super Bowl with a whole new roster of players? And, fortunately, the Jensen team, was great competition. They were the quality of work, the people were great people. And it was important to me to see, could I manage, could I lead a new team to, those heights of, what I call winning
kind of testing your skill set too, right? Like, was I actually good at what I did, or was the supporting cast around me holding me up, right? So it's kind of that.
Yeah, it's a lot like how you started too, right? When you the nepotism thing, you didn't want to be known necessarily as a Colton. You wanted to make your own way. You wanted to, and in a lot of ways, you challenge yourself again and figure out another way of winning. And I think that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. that was a major part of it. Was I good? Did I develop the skill sets as a leader, as a manager, or did I just fit in the system right? Was the other company, the old company, such a great system? And it was. My uncle, my father, all the people that built Valley Crest built a phenomenal company that, it was the easy button. And you always have to surround yourself with great people who you could leverage. So I could do more, so they could do more. Right systems in place. My uncle constantly reinvested in assets and CapEx and people. So there was a lot to be said for that. But I did find out that I was pretty good at what I did, because
I was just going to say, what's the answer to the question? How are you
doing? We're doing well. We're doing good. This last year's been a little bit of a struggle. COVID kind of kicked us in the teeth pretty good. Our main business is in here in the greater Bay Area. And March 16th, when orders came down to shut everything down, we essentially did not work for 3 months.
Wow.
And it was tough. And when you're not bringing in revenue and expected to, still make money, you got to still make payroll. And you got investors who, invested. It's been trying, and we've been working hard through it. We've been getting through it.
From a labor standpoint, where do you guys find yourselves most successful finding labor, especially, as large as you are? I have to imagine your force is pretty great out there, right?
Yeah, it ebbs and flows with the backlog. We like to try to keep a consistent backlog of work, so we're not having real high highs and real low lows. That's tough to manage for any industry that you're in, to scale up and scale down. It's really, in our industry, a lot of it is, the guys in the field are talking to their family, their friends, bringing in people. That's where the source of it comes. We advertise on, occasionally on LinkedIn and the social media, but the labor force is word of mouth and getting people to come in the door and looking for work.
And when you guys are looking to hire, are you typically looking for some sort of experience, or do you guys have a training program that you can bring somebody in pretty green and get them up to speed?
A little bit of both.
Yeah.
We, of course, we'd love to hire, people that come in. Oh, you've got 7-10 years experience in the landscape industry. Great. Come on board. But that's not always realistic.
Yeah.
It's a combination of, finding experienced people. The good companies keep their experienced people. They take care of them. They don't leave. And, you got to hire new people who may have come from totally different industries, and then you got to train them. And, we've heard the rumblings. It's, give me people who know what they're doing. Don't give me this guy. He doesn't know what he's doing. And I like to always say, well, when you were up and coming 20 years ago, 25 years ago,
did you know? Yeah.
Did you know? Harken back to the day, and somebody took you under their wing and trained you and saw something in you. And I think that's important to recognize, people who have a desire, people who want to learn. You got to invest in them. You got to take the time to train them. We have at Monarch, we have a dedicated person that all they do is put together training. And we have various training programs throughout. Anything from time management. We've done time management training to teach people how to better manage their time. Project managers, we've gone through the whole staff, to onboarding training, how to make someone feel comfortable and a new hire, and what are the proper things to do from day one at the end of week one. Because when somebody doesn't feel like they're welcome, yeah, they got a job, but by the end of the first week, nobody paid attention to me. They gave me a broom, and it's not what I expected. they leave. You have a high turnover rate. And so if we could do a better job in the onboarding, less turnover, greater retention, is going to build a better staff, better field.
Yeah, and you mentioned how taking care of your employees is really important too, right? It's a lot easier to take care of them than constantly try and find new guys. And I feel like that mentality might be lost on a lot of landscape companies, especially ones that are focused in the maintenance division. I know personally, I've got quite a few landscape contractors who, just turn over employees, right? Because it's almost like, I need you and I don't need you, and I need you and I don't need you. And so maybe speak to some of the things you guys do from a benefit standpoint, or, whether it's monetary or whatever you guys do that kind of helps keep those guys around that are doing a good job for you.
I think first and foremost, you have to have a stable backlog. You have to have, on the maintenance side, you have to have, high retention in customers, so that crew has a route to go to every day, and you're winning new work. So you're creating opportunities to bring on new people or elevate people to, higher positions, higher responsibilities. On the construction side, I think it's more, just maintain, as I said earlier, maintaining a steady backlog. So you're not doing all this work. You've got 7 or 10 jobs all going at once. You need all these people, throughout the summer, and then October, November comes, the job's complete, and you haven't filled your backlog. And now you got 2 or 3 jobs, and you can't afford to keep, we're not a professional sports franchise. You can't afford to keep, second, third string bench. So you lay people off, and hopefully you've done it in a professional manner that they understand. It's a cyclical construction goes as the economy goes. When it's booming, it's booming. When it is in a recession, people are out of work, and their field force, the labor is very prideful of what they do, and nobody wants to be laid off, but you do it in a professional manner, and hopefully say when we get some, if you have good employees that you're in a situation where you have to have a reduction, you have the ability to call them back and say, hey, we got a couple of jobs, you want to come back to work. And, if you're good, you'll get the people coming back.
Yeah. Are there things you guys struggle with on a daily basis, challenges that maybe you have to overcome pretty regularly, or that you deal with, whether it be from an employee or a customer standpoint?
Yeah, that's a really good, yeah, lots of struggles. Right? Lots of struggles. It's, from the customer going, I'm your only project, they want that attention. Right. We've, on time, on budget, on schedule. What is it now? Almost 40 years when I, kind of started part-time in 1980. Don't know if I could, it's definitely on both hands, maybe just one hand, the number of jobs that here's our schedule, and then you finish the job and it's like, yeah, the job's, that's what I love about construction. Every job is different. Every job, is changing. Maintenance is great, but you're maintaining the same site, you're mowing the same lawn over and over. Construction, you're building jobs that are on podiums up on the 11th floor, craning 84-inch box trees into a planter, or you're, building professional baseball fields, or you're building multi-million-dollar custom residences. That everyone's needs are different, whether it's the owner, the general contractor, the developer. They all want their project to be perfect, and that's our job, is to try to make it as perfect as possible. And there are struggles every day to be able to, be perfect.
Yeah.
And but that's what we strive to be, is, take care of the customer, take care of your employees, take care of the, customer. And if you do that, that's a pretty simple formula. You'll probably have a a better winning percentage than not.
Yeah. How involved are you guys in the design process on the construction side?
We don't do design.
No.
The majority of our projects are designed by landscape architects.
Okay.
So when a project goes out to bid, we'll get a set of plans that will already be designed by landscape architects. It's an entirely different field. We have great relationships with lots of landscape architects. And they're the artisans. They're the ones with the visions. The architects are the ones who have said, you know, Mr. Owner, this is what you're looking to do. This is what, you know, our concept is. And then we just try to fulfill it. We try to take those plans from, you know, I remember, you know, back in the day, you walked around with a big roll of blueprints, and now everything's on an iPad.
iPads, yeah.
On Plan Grid. And, you know, so it's over my career, it's, you know, the evolution has changed, but we take those, you know, plans and take them from, I guess, 2-dimensional to the finished product of, you know, green growies and.
Well, and kind of, yeah. And on that, I mean, being that you guys have the practical experience of actually installing all these different things that architects develop, are there situations where you guys get brought in as I guess, for lack of a better term, consultants to the architect to say, hey, this is kind of what we want to do. Which way does it work best? What kind of products? What kind of you know, situations? Or is that just something that doesn't happen often?
At times, there's, I mean, you know, a lot of, you know, we do have a lot of relationships. We're brought in early, and we'll help with some, you know, budgeting and design assist. Maybe is probably a better term than, you know, consulting. We'll look at something and say, yeah, that, yeah, we did that a couple of years ago. It didn't work well, or those plants may not, you know, they struggle in this region.
Right.
You know, irrigation, landscape. We have a responsibility to try to, if we see something, bring it up. There's a fine line though. You don't want to, you know, broach what somebody else may have, their concept with an owner is trying to do.
Right.
And again, we're not the artist, we're the builder. And so we'll work with and we'll talk to, and we'll get involved in what, you know, value engineering. Is there a better way to do it and not hurt the aesthetics of a project, right? If a customer has budgetary constraints, you may take a landscape architect's design that on its face value may cost X, and the budget may not be there to do it. But one of the things I learned is good design, and maybe you just downsize it and give it a little bit more time to grow in. You still maintain the, you know, design elements of the architect, the trees. Instead of planting a 60-inch box tree, you're planting a 36-inch box tree. Instead of a 5 or a 15-gallon shrub, a 1-gallon shrub, and you're giving it time to grow and mature. But the initial installation cost is going to be, you know, value-added savings.
Yeah.
We probably play a bigger role in assisting owners and developers and general contractors in that capacity than the aesthetic.
Very cool. Where are you guys typically generating new business from? Where does that
I was gonna say marketing.
How does that work for you guys? What's been most successful?
You know, a lot of just relationships. You know, 50 years, Jensen's been around for 50 years now. And so in the Bay Area, we probably turn away more work than we have the capacity to bid. We'd love to bid it all, but you know, you can't be everything to everyone.
Right.
And so we try to maintain and provide the services to our best clients, the ones that we know we're going to get work with, you know, have a better shot of negotiating and getting work with. We you know, do market, we do have business development. Even our field is, you know, business developers, you know, the old you're only as good as, how you finish the job, that last 5%. You could do great up to the last 5%. And if you don't finish well, that can leave a, taste in someone's mouth that the next opportunity that comes up, that's the thing they remember most.
Right.
And so you got to run the race hard from start to finish. And you got to make sure that your entire team is committed to all those same principles, that everyone's a salesman. Everyone has the responsibility of representing the company and providing the best services and the best quality for our customers, because that will get us more work. And we want to grow. Growth is important. But, controlled growth as well, and not going out of control. We've all seen in the industry, in the construction industry, companies that grow way too big, way too fast, cash flow gets out of whack, can't pay their vendors. And that's great. You went from, small contractor to large contractor, but next thing you know, you're out of business because you haven't controlled it. So lots of opportunities, down in San Diego where we were an unknown. It was a lot of pounding the street, pounding the pavement, introducing ourselves, getting opportunities. And we weren't going to get the opportunities our competitors were getting as known entities in the marketplace. We had to earn the right to grow down there. We had to, we didn't get the $1 million jobs, but all right, here's a $200,000 landscape job. Let's see what you can do with this, because, everyone wants to, be cautious. It's, the first bone you get thrown, may not be the largest project the client has going. So baby steps, it's important. I've always kind of had a motto of, baby steps, plan the work the plan, leads to success.
Did you guys make that deliberate decision to go into San Diego, or was it a situation where somebody in San Diego needed you and then you thought, since we're down here, let's start, knocking on some other doors and see what else might be down there?
So it more of a strategic decision with Monarch Landscape. We want to service our clients in all our marketplaces with maintenance and construction. And, again, and it's a build out. And so Sacramento was the first marketplace to build out Sacramento, close to the Bay Area, easier to manage, easier to get to. Joint clients, customers who we knew, who do work in both sectors, shared resources with a lot of the labor force coming from the Central Valley and various parts of the Bay Area. We had maintenance operations in San Diego. I remember the first time when one of their customers came and gave them actually a big set of plans a few years ago, about 4 years ago, early on when I had just joined the company. They said, hey, we want you to bid this project. And the project was a large multi-use, the Starbucks and all the shops on the lower levels, and then the apartments and condos up above, one of those mixed use city blocks that had a lot of podium work, a lot of on structure, and the size of and they were all excited about it, because the San Diego operation joined us through an acquisition, was only maintenance. And it's, hey, we're part of a company that does construction also. We could do this. And I got the plans, we looked at it, and the project was probably as large as the revenues of the maintenance company in a year. And, over their capacity and people. And so we had to make a decision and it was a very good maintenance client, was the developer. And our company maintained all this developers' properties, and had to say, yes, we do have we're part of a company that doesn't have a construction arm now, but we're not ready yet. And when we were ready, we went down and we've done a couple of their construction projects now. Eventually, we're up in Seattle. We've done some work in Dallas. Eventually we want to be in all our locations doing construction.
And I think that speaks to something to say that, listen, we're not in a position yet.
Yeah, that's a pretty key takeaway there.
We're not in a position yet to take that on give us a bit, because I think if, obviously we know what the opposite could have been, right? You get excited. The amount of the project is as large as the company itself in a given year in terms of revenue. And they've got big eyes and they're very excited and they want to take it on. And I could see why, but the problem potentially, of course, we all know this, right?
Yeah, you
is
screw it
that
up and you
just,
don't get any work
you
for
jack
them
it
at
up
all. Yeah.
and you're done. And then you're not in the San Diego area anymore. I
Yeah.
mean, you've developed a terrible reputation right off the bat. So like going back to your controlled growth, I love that plan the work the plan that leads to success. And so, that idea and the mentality of like, let's just grow steadily and baby steps, small steps.
Make sure the systems are in place to do the things that you need to do before you're just taking on the work.
I mean, it's brilliant and so simple.
Yeah.
It's hard. It's
growing the control. Yeah. To hold back is probably difficult when you've got the opportunity there.
Yeah. Everyone wants to say yes. Saying, I learned from my father, 2 words that you need to say and they're not dirty, bad words, are no and profit. Everyone's entitled to make a profit. That's how we stay in business.
Yep.
And knowing when to say no is equally as important as when to say yes. No, I don't have the bandwidth to do this. No, that's not our scope of work. No, I can't meet your schedule. I had a very, very good friend in the industry who wanted to give us a very large subdivision project, but it was tied to a very important schedule. And our group up in Sacramento, they qualified their bid, kind of eyes got a little bit bigger. Your eyes get bigger than your stomach when it was coming down to final negotiations. And even though the bid was qualified, it's like, yeah, we can do this. And, my friend picked up the phone and called and said, Jeff, can you really do this? If we go with you, Brian, to your point, if it would have put such a strain on the branch, the likelihood of us being able, and it was in a busy time, labor was really hard to get. And if we couldn't get the labor resource and we fell on our face, that queers business relationships, that queers friendships. Yep. And so we said no, and they got someone else to do it. And they did a great job. There's a lot of people out there. It's a big industry.
And I'm sure at some point you'll be asked back and
we're already doing other projects.
Exactly. Yeah.
So there's it's just as if someone came and said, hey, we got a 7-Eleven, we want you to landscape. We're not geared or structured to do that. So, that's someone else's niche and market.
Right. So kind of going back to that growth in San Diego a little bit, are there things you guys did or are doing from a marketing / brand awareness? One thing we like to kind of talk about is especially digitally, right? It's kind of a newer concept for construction, but in the contractor space, but always kind of curious what everybody's thought process is on it, be it, putting your work out there on social media or being involved, with videos and YouTube or anything along those lines that kind of put yourself into a market before you guys actually start knocking on those doors.
We actually haven't. We haven't because we wanted to, when we went into the market and to try to build a 1, 3, and 5 year business plan. Again, you cannot be everything to everybody.
Right.
We tried to leverage our Bay Area relationships that have offices here in the Bay Area that also do work down in San Diego to do can you send an email? Can you introduce us? Can you make a phone call?
Yep.
And we were pretty selective in who we wanted to approach based on more of a relationship, not social media. Because we knew our capacity in year 1, in year 2, in year 3, we're just finished year 3, is limited. There's only so much you could do, right? There's only so many people you're going to hire. As you get more work and the field labor force starts hearing, well, oh man, Jensen's got a lot of work. That's one of the ways you start getting people as well.
Yeah.
And if you throw yourself, when I was a business developer, I was hair on fire, going to everybody when I was in LA, And I remember I got into a really bad situation because there's a big project in the Grapevine that was being developed, massive project. And I kept calling him. I was young and, hey, when's the project coming out to bid? Getting to know him. When's the project coming out to bid? When's the project coming out to bid? And just pestering him. And they finally called and said, hey, come pick up the plans. Project's ready to bid. Great. When do you need the bid? In a week. And I took it back to the office and our chief estimator went, yeah.
No chance in hell.
There's no way.
Yeah.
Every estimator is working on 2 or 3 jobs. We need 3 weeks. And I called the customer back and I said, hey, we need 3 weeks. And they were taken aback. They lit me up pretty good and went, you've been calling us religiously, pestering us for the last 6 months. I want to bid the job. I want to bid the job. And we finally get it out to bid. And now you're saying you can't bid it. And so I think you got to be cautious in your business development strategies of, again, you can't be everything to everyone. You got, it's tighter than the gymnastic. What is the balance beam, right? The gymnast, on the 4 inches, this rope is even tighter of the balancing acts because it ebbs and flows. And, fortunately, knock wood here on the wood desk. I don't think we've had too many times where nothing's been out to bid. You look and the estimating staff is sitting there going,
what do we do?
we need something to bid. It's been conversely the opposite. It's, again, more opportunities than we have the capacity and bandwidth to bid. So you could say it's a good situation.
Yeah, I guess that's something to think about too. I mean, that's smart. That's a lot of people don't think about it. And honestly, I probably didn't think about it until you brought it up also. I mean, when you put yourself out there digitally via social media or websites or whatever you're doing, and you're basically inviting people to approach you for work, you can't really control who sees that, right? I mean, I guess there's ways to do it via ads and some other things, but generally speaking, you can't really control that. And I guess to that point, you either have to get really, really good at saying no, or you overextend yourself and put yourself in a bad situation. So I guess, I mean, it's smart. There are ways to do it, but if you're able to grow and you've got those connections, otherwise, I think you guys are doing it the right way for what you guys do.
If there's there's no perfect answer.
Right. Yeah.
Every business does it. Otherwise, you'd be able to go to the bookstore and go,
yeah, buy the book and here's the cookie cutter. Yep.
Here's the book on the perfect marriage. Here's the book on the perfect building a business. And, chapter 12, here's how you do it. And, there's so many variables in what we do. And it's at times it has to be a perfect storm.
Yeah.
Where luck and skill and smarts all collide together to have success.
Mm-hmm.
So what's the future look like for you guys? Are there other geographical areas? Are there other verticals or different scopes that you guys are looking to get into to grow, obviously strategically and slowly? Yeah,
again, we want to have a presence with construction, installation, where we have maintenance operations. We want to continue to grow the company. Companies that don't grow, I had an employee, people, do get tired, do get worn out. And it's like, why are we growing? And, my answer was simply, you got to grow. If you get stagnant, that's not good. Everyone expects and wants to get raises, right? And suddenly, if you're not growing, and people want opportunities, and if you don't figure out a way to grow, to create opportunities for those who want to move up, people are going to leave. They're going to go somewhere else.
People. Yep.
If you don't open up a new branch, if you got somebody who wants to be a branch manager, right, and you don't grow, and the branch manager is relatively young and doing great and has no aspirations to do anything else, and I'm going to be here for the next 20 years, then you got to, for those who want it, you have to build a business plan. You got to, figure out how to get those people that have talent and ability that want it, and you want it for them, for you and them and the company to grow. And otherwise you're going to see your margins dwindle down because you're going to stay a stagnant, flat level company. You're going to go 10 years later, man, we made all this money 10 years ago. Now we're not making anything because you're the same size. You have the same people. They all got raises. You're not able to raise your prices that much. It's like golf. You may go from, shooting 100 to getting down into the 80s. But once and in relatively quick time, right? I practice, but getting from 80 to 70, is a whole nother plateau and a whole nother level. And I haven't seen a lot of people in our industry that, after they take off their safety vest, have a, Superman and a cape underneath them. You tap out, you try to figure out different ways to use equipment, to get lean, to be creative in, picking up time and to doing it faster, smarter, better. But as you continue to get better, those incremental, you're not gonna, you're only gonna be able to plant, you're not gonna plant, if a plant takes 20 minutes to plant, you're never gonna get it down to, I can plant this plant in 1 minute.
Right. There's only so much lean you can do right before.
Only so much. And if, the market is still driven, pricing that, and depending on what market you're in, are you in a boom market or are you in a recessionary market, and, your overheads go up and you don't grow, it's comes out of one place, comes out of margin, and then you're making less money. And so companies need to make money. Like my dad said, profit is not a dirty word. Everyone's in business to make money, and they should if they're doing good work. And it's called the return on investment. Mm-hmm. And you got your investment in people, and you need to create opportunities to have them grow also as people, for the business to grow and survive and succeed.
Yeah, I think that's the important takeaway there too, is you got to have that light at the end of the tunnel, right? They got to be able to see somewhere to go and not just a brick wall in front of them of no advancement and nowhere else to go. Yep. Kind of keep them driven. Yeah.
Exactly.
Awesome. We appreciate the time. We'll let you run. I know you got somewhere else to be. It's been awesome, Jeff. We thank you for taking the time to join us. Before we let you run off, we want to let the people know where to find you, or how they can get pointed in your direction if they want to get a hold of you. We've created kind of a cool little community here. So any way that they can get a hold of you, whether it's website, email, phone number, whatever it is.
Yeah. My phone number, no problem having people call me, 925-588-8634. And you can always go to our website at Monarch Landscape or Jensen Landscape. We're in the process of actually upgrading it with the Monarch family of companies, the 6 companies underneath the parent company. We're kind of finally getting to the point where we're putting some time to invest in those aspects, as we've initially been investing in the people and the clients. But I enjoyed it. Thank you very much I'm glad Jessica gave you my name, and I'm glad to have this opportunity to
awesome.
share some experiences.
Yeah, thank you, Jeff.
Thanks so much. It's been fun. We appreciate it. Keep in touch.
Will do. Thanks, guys.
Sir. Have a good one.
All right.
All right. You too.
Hey, thanks for listening. And if you've made it this far, go ahead and give us a like or 5 stars or whatever means you like us.
Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss our next episode. And check out our website for more video content and extras.
While you're there, shoot us a message if you want to be a guest. We'd love to have you on.
Thanks again, and we'll see you next time.